Welcome to the It's All for Love podcast. I'm Cheryl Mazza, the healing dancer, your host. This is a love-centered space honoring the enduring legacy and spirit of Michael Jackson and the powerful ways his message continues to live through us today. Through personal stories, meaningful reflections, and heartfelt conversations, we explore the moments he struck us in the heart and how that love still moves through us and the world today. So take a breath and let's begin today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the It's All for Love podcast. I'm Cheryl Mazza, the healing dancer, your host. And today we have Faith Matos from Haddonfield, New Jersey. Faith.
Hi,
Hi, Faith.
how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful as well.
Well, let me tell the audience a little bit about Faith. Faith is a business owner and also a resource for the community. She loves to serve people and is a huge advocate for the creative arts. And we're going to talk about that today too, as well. So welcome, Faith, to the It's
Thank
All for
you.
Love podcast. I can't wait to talk to you about Michael and all of these other amazing things we have planned.
Great.
So tell me, when did you first discover Michael Jackson in your life?
Well, as a child, back in the 80s, because I'm a 75 baby. And around the time of 85, I was 10 years old, right on the nozzle. And I have older siblings, so I'm the youngest in my family. And then one of my oldest brothers, he played music all the time in the house. So being introduced to the Jackson 5 was very familiar to me in the house. And that's how my beginnings was Jackson 5, for real. To be honest with you, we have a lot of vinyl in my family, and I have albums with the Jackson 5 that go way back. So I would play them all the time. And then as I became a teenager, I really embraced the Jackson 5 albums in my rooms and things like that as a teenager.
Oh, wow. So you definitely started with Michael like from the beginning.
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I don't have much of a Jackson 5 background. I had to go back and like rediscover that, but I do love all of the Jackson 5. The young
Yeah.
Michael era, I guess I would call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, my siblings played a lot of old music all the time, like the old 60s, the 70s, the doo-wop days. Like I grew up with all of the music,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I've always known him as a group with his brothers as a kid,
Right.
and then at 10, when he came out as a solo artist, that was different because that I've experienced when he came out as a solo artist at the
Hmm.
time, because that was he came out on the Motown ceremony, so I was young then, so. But yeah, I've always known Jackson 5 as a group, and I played a lot of the music in my room and things of that nature.
Very nice. And how has Michael inspired you throughout your life?
So, as a child, like I said, as a teenager, just being in the room and coming home from school, running straight to the room. As a kid, I used to have a lot of posters on my wall, and mainly a lot of them was of him. It was other groups as well, but mainly was like 85% was Michael Jackson's on my wall, and I had a lot of his magazines and things of that nature. So I had a record player in my room, and I would just play a lot of the music coming home from school. That was my thing. Like I was more of a person that came home and danced in my room and played music in my room after school in front of the mirror. And a lot of times it was always his records as the Jackson 5 records and things of that nature. So
Did you dance at all?
yeah, I did a lot of dancing as a kid,
Yeah.
and so like I said, it was every day for me coming home from middle school, coming home, in my room, shutting the door, putting on the music, and my mom banging on the door, turning the music down, it was every day for me. I was one of those kids that just came home and embraced music, dancing and being in front of my mirror all the time. Yeah.
Music is so well, I always talk about how healing music is, but it's also like very influential, like just inspires you
Yes,
throughout your
it's
life.
it's the it's the universal language of the world.
Yes, yes, we
Yeah.
all can
Mm.
relate to some kind of
Yeah.
music.
I mean, lately, I realized that, a lot of times you listen to music with words, is okay, but sometimes when you remove the words, and you just listening to just music, period, it's also I'm very fond of that as well, you know, because it speaks to the soul. Because
Yeah.
even if I listen, whether I listen to the words or if I'm not, even I listen to music of other languages as well, because I'm just a music head.
Mm-hmm.
And I find out that, you know, if it sounds good, I might not know all the words, but
Hmm.
it just speaks to the soul. And then I want to know what the words are, you know.
Right.
Sometimes knowing the words mess it up.
Right. Right. I know. I know. I know. There's been a couple like I love like Latin music. I just like the the beat to it or like reggaeton and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
But some of the times I'll be like, I really like this beat, but I don't know what he's talking about. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need
yeah.
to know. I need to
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. And as a dancer myself, like growing
Mhm.
up dancing, a lot of the times I would dance to the lyrics, right? Like the
Okay.
lyrics is like it's how I started to like really feel music. It was like the
Right.
lyric, how it spoke to me. And then
Hmm.
um I also like I became I found Michael when I was 5. So
Okay.
he really introduced me to dancing. And by like following him and learning about him, he taught me to listen to the music, like to the
Okay.
actual music part of it. And
Yeah.
I find that I do that more. And I'm
Hmm.
even like discovering now like different sounds in his music that I've listened to for freaking years. Like
Yeah.
I'll be like
Yeah.
listening to it one day, be like, oh, I never heard that horn or I never heard that part of the song, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's interesting, how it
Hmm.
evolves or how it can evolve. And then listening to words without songs like instrumental. I used to hate that as a kid. But
I used to
now,
hate that as a kid as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
this is
learned
so
to appreciate
boring.
that over. Yeah, but I've now learned to appreciate it so much
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
Yeah. They
Yes.
got this cool music now where you've seen it, we've all seen it, where they take the orchestra and
Hmm.
they play all the hip songs with the
Yes.
orchestra. I
Yes.
like that. So cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But do you ever have what I like to call Michael Jackson synchronicities or how he just shows up randomly in your life now?
Well, as Michael Jackson, from what I know about Michael, he was a perfectionist, you know. He was really always striving. He was always practicing a lot of he talked about it himself, you know. It was more of a I've heard interviews from other people, like people that worked with him. They would say, you know, he's really a perfectionist, he's really a workaholic.
Hmm.
And I think that I'm impressioned by that more than anything. And I've been impressioned by that more than anything. And it has affected my life in a way where I have realized that, you know, focusing and just being concentrated on something all the time, it's not so bad. It's not so crazy, you know, because as humans, you know, we develop into somebody, you know, we
Right.
blossom into something, right? Like a flower, right? And a flower is a flower all the time, you know, not
Yeah.
some of the time, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, like, you know, and a cat and a dog and animals, whatever, they are what they are all the time. And it's like, okay, well, what are we all the time, you know?
Right.
And, you know, what kind of work am I all the time, you know? And so, you know, I think he has impressioned me with the work ethics and his perfectionist behavior a lot, you know,
Wow.
over my childhood and things of that nature. Yeah.
Love that. Do you have a favorite Michael Jackson song?
Well, I like, you know, go back to the J5 days with Michael because he was always a lot of the songs he did was lead songs, you know. He was the lead. And I really like Maybe Tomorrow, you know, when he was the lead singer, you know, he did a lot of that. I love that song, Blue Skies, you know, we're going
Mhm.
way back. But if I had to go like just solo artist, Michael Jackson, Liberian Girl is really good.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, there's just actually two songs. Like if you really put the bass in on in your in the surround system on and you listen to Liberian Girl and you listen to Beat It, right?
Hmm.
Just the production of those two songs is like is amazing. The guitar, the Liberian Girl, like if you just the bass and all the different sounds that he added in there because he did a lot of different sounds in Liberian Girl, which was real cute and real different. Those two songs is like wow, just without the lyrics alone, just take the lyrics out
Yeah.
of it. You know,
Yes.
the music that was produced, and he did a lot of that production with that. You know, he you know arranged a lot of that stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah. I can hear it in my head right now. Like
Yeah.
dun dun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It makes you want to
yeah.
like move,
Right.
like yeah.
Like I would play that song so back to back so much because if you really put that song on loud, the music, even when it ends, it makes you want to repeat it because the music is so strong. It's
Yes.
so strongly felt. I think a lot of artists, when they went in the studio, they try to mimic a lot of the ways that he produced his bass and trebles and things of that nature, and bringing out that strong feeling. But he really had a gift for it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did. He did. He had a gift for that sound.
yeah,
Whatever it is that came out of him, you know?
yeah,
Yeah. How
yeah.
about how about a favorite short film of his that he has done?
Well, he a lot. Are you talking like his video
Yeah.
films?
His music
Okay.
videos, yeah.
So, my all-time favorite is the Thriller.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the classic Thriller,
It is. It is
because
definitely a classic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my classic. Now, when he did, I think he did something with Paul McCartney, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I forgot what it was. That was a good one too. It
Yeah, it
it
was.
wasn't like a short film, but
It was more like
back
a
in
music video. Yeah.
it was a video, but it started off with like talking and
Yeah.
and 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 that was kind of like his introduction into doing like these little short video films is when he did Say Say Say. That
Hmm.
was, it was real cute. That was really
Yeah.
cute.
I think that was
Yeah.
the song though of the video that you're talking about. Say, say, say.
Say Say Say
You
was
know,
the Paul McCartney song that he did. Like
with
that
that
whole
video,
beginning
right?
was
Yeah.
just so cute. He actually should have
Yeah.
lengthened that up. That was a really good one.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Well, let's talk about the creative arts, and I want to get into your view on that and with the kids and all.
One of the things that was special about him was that he was 5 and he was basically in his mom's stomach when he was introduced to music, and so that's all he knew was that type of feeling in that life, and he really didn't play outside with friends and go outside and hang out with buddies and things of that nature. So going to the park and swinging on the swings and having that type of childhood lifestyle. And so what that did for him is it helped him remain like a child at heart,
Hmm.
you know? And I say that to talk about the fact that he's not the only one that has remained a child at heart as a person. There's so many people, not enough of us though. I will say that, not enough of us, but there's so many people that are out there that has not forgotten their childhood and their connection to their childhood and their connection to the friends they had as a child and their memories as a child. And, a lot of adults want to grow up and forget about being a kid.
Right.
And one of my things that I liked about him is that and he always talked about remaining that connection. I have that same connection that he actually talks about of myself. And I can't really explain why, but I'm a military kid, so I did a lot of traveling as a child. So a lot of times I had to make friends and then let go, make
Mm,
friends and then let go.
yeah.
And it's sort of like how he did in the music industry. He was here and there and everywhere and never being a kid,
Right.
always moving along in his journey. So, I don't know if it comes from that effect or not, but it helped me to stay in touch with my childhood. And so because of that, I have an affection and a love for kids.
Hmm.
And with adults, you can't really teach them new tricks,
Right.
You can't really,
Stuck in
once
our
they get
ways.
past a certain age, they kind of like stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
It's hard to change, adults
Yeah.
are hard to change. But with a child, they're still developing, and it's such a cool stage to be able to mold and help shape the child, because children take and then they throw away whatever they don't want about themselves, and then they become an adult, and then that's what you get.
Right.
And I like the fact that with kids, if you introduce kids to a lot of different things, then you get to see that child and who they are and what they gravitate to,
Hmm.
and it's just a beautiful thing. And so I like being involved in that process.
And I definitely think like the creative arts is a great way for
Hmm.
kids to develop
Yes.
and like develop like a passion for life and like their joy in life, you know?
Well, I feel
Um,
like
And
You
social.
say it's a great way. I think it's the only way, to be honest with you, because there's, I mean, not just because there's some kids that's not creative. There's some kids that's real academic, but
Yes.
that's still creative itself in itself as well.
Right.
But we are creation as human beings and as a species of living species, as a living species, and we are all creative, in our special way, and we come from creation. And so when you introduce different things to children, it helps to grow their imagination,
Yes.
you know yeah. If you stick a child in a room with four walls for half their life between 0 and 9 years old, then and you don't give them any type of exposure to nothing,
Mhm.
and as opposed to a child that's 0 to 9 years old and giving them the exposure to so many things, you can see the difference. You'll be able to see the difference.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
For sure. I agree. I agree. I don't think, well, I know I wouldn't be who I am today without growing up in dance and music, and theater.
Right.
I even did theater, like, mostly when I was in high school. But
Yeah.
I mean, that really helped me to develop as a adult. But I still
Yeah.
go back to those things because they're from my childhood, and that
I
reminds
mean,
me of it.
even like schools right now, the only thing they didn't take out of the school is walks, where they take the kids out, take
Yeah.
them around or take them for a walk.
Yeah.
Even that little walk alone helps a child, like if they're seeing good stuff around, what they like, if you take them outside of their environment and they get to
Yeah.
see other things, it helps them to expand their mind and their thinking, because
Exactly.
now they have something else to think about. Because with people, with humans, you can have a thought and you can introduce me to something that I've never seen or heard before. And from that picture in my mind, I could take that and spring on to something else that I never thought I could spring onto. And
Hmm.
I could spring onto something brand new that you never seen before because I can invent it from
Right.
just what you exposed me to. I could become an inventor of something brand new from that. And that's the beauty of human nature, is that we could take something that we see and hear and we could spring off of that and create something and invent something brand new. It's so infinite. Like our minds are infinite. It's way better than a computer.
Oh, amen to that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, tell me, I want you to talk about your up and coming nonprofit that you're putting out there
Okay.
called Focus.
So as an entrepreneur in the business that I have, I'm coming, my nonprofit organization is coming soon, and it's going to spring off of that entrepreneurship that I'm running right now. And what I would like to encourage is for the business services that I provide. If people if people are out there, find out about my entrepreneurship, they find out about my business and my services, and they participate with it, then some of the proceeds from that, from what I make as a company, will go towards the nonprofit,
Okay.
and that nonprofit will help the children to take extracurricular classes, after school projects, after school things, that the activities that they want to do. Currently, I have my own daughter. She's getting ready to be 14, and she's in ballet, and she's in jazz and contemporary dance and hip hop dance. And she's also done some acting and background acting. And I've exposed her to also the music studio. She's done some music and recording studio. And it was just a great time that I'm having with her. With my sons, they're 23 and 19. I've exposed them to some acting. They did Walnut Street Theater. They did boxing at Johan's Boxing in Philadelphia. And then they also did some boxing in Roxborough, PA at the community center there. And introducing them to that was just a great time.
Hmm.
And my oldest daughter as well. I've introduced her to extracurricular activities. And I would like to do the same with other kids as well, to give kids the opportunity to go to these places because, a lot of times, and I know firsthand, these classes rack up, they rack up,
Yeah,
especially when you got when you got two and three and four kids like
Oh,
I had,
yeah.
all together, you gotta do something with all of them,
Right. Right.
on top of everything else in your life. Those that they add up, and because you're not only just putting them in these classes, you have to get them all the equipments that might come with the classes, and
Right.
then all the expenses that come with whatever performances or showcases that they're in. All that racks up, and
Yeah.
you wonder, why is all that institutionalized so much? Why is it all, it's almost like they got a chain and a lock on all these things. You got to unlock it with the money key. And
Right.
it's because they understand that having all those special extracurricular qualities really does help the child. It gives that child that boost in life that we all need. I don't, we used to have it in the school for free.
Yeah.
But, I remember when I used to substitute teach, I used to be a substitute teacher as well. And I was so sad because I used to substitute teach for a few different years in different levels. But this one year I substitute teach high school. I'm not going to name the name. And when they did recess, I was so upset that every time the kids got together as a group, the teachers would walk over and, oh, you got to break up. You can't all be together, huddled up so much. And I used to be like, oh my gosh, is that what we evolved to in high schools now? That the kids can't come together and huddle up and this is recess time at school. And it's sad. What do you want these kids to do? What do you want them to do? I was just talking to my daughter at the kids hang out down the street from us at the store. They on their bikes, they're at the stores, they're at the Mickey D's, the McDonald's, and they're all through town on their bike. They're at the Wawa. They don't have nothing to do. There's no building for them to hang out at. There's
Right.
nothing for them. And it's sad.
It
It's
is.
sad. And now we got to the point where we don't even want them in the malls.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't even want them in the malls now. I mean, come on. What do you want the kids to do?
Right. I know it is. It's sad. I think when we were younger, like I'm not too far from you. Um, wasn't there stuff like at the Echelon Mall? Like there used to be like a center or something
Yes.
that like
Hmm.
children or
Well,
teenagers could go to, and there was like a bunch of
yes.
activities,
A
like
big
I never went because
arcade.
I was
Yeah.
in dance. Like I was an only child. Thank God for my mom and dad. I would do
Hmm.
like 7 dance classes, like
Yes.
seriously. But like
Yes.
I remember like hanging out at the mall, there
Hmm.
being like something close to there that was like a
Yes.
center for teenagers,
Yes.
I think it was, or
Yeah.
something, you know? Like
Yes.
that's I just remember that. I'm like, why
Summertime
don't
is
we
so
have that?
sad. Summer is so sad when the kids get out of school in the summertime,
Yeah.
because if they're not at the beach or they're not at the pool, then they're not really doing, or if they're not on their family vacation with their mom and dad, then
Yeah.
there's nowhere for them to go. I would love to be able to have enough proceeds coming in where I can have a building where kids can come in and go in different rooms and do different things. And it would be like, if the parents want to know if everything is safe, hey, listen, everything's on camera. You can actually stream it live what your kid is doing right now inside. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything's
Yeah.
wide open for you. You don't have to come in because it's a kid's space, and
Right.
you got a room where, listen, there's a big wall in the room. If you want to come in and graffiti the room down, you can go in that room and do that.
Right.
Go get your expression out. If you want to go over here and do,
Oh
and,
God. Yeah.
it's just kids need that outlet. And
Yeah.
it's a shame that they don't have it. Kids are they want to express themselves in a huger way. When they get a little, I would say, like out of sorts, or they want to get a little trouble. Sometimes you gotta let them have their moment. How
Right.
else are you gonna let them? You can't keep it bottled up inside of a kid.
No,
You
that just makes
can't.
it worse. Yeah.
Adults try to keep it bottled up, and it don't work for us.
No.
So why would you
We go
expect a
insane.
kid? Why would you expect a kid to keep it bottled up? How you
Exactly.
expect that to work for them, and they way younger and with younger feelings than us? And I
Right.
always explain, I try to explain that, with my younger kid, like, your feelings grow with you. When you're a baby, you got baby feelings. When you're a teenager, you got teenager feelings. And when you're an adult, they grow with you sometimes, I would
Right.
say sometimes. Some of us don't mature. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh you gotta let children have a space,
Yeah.
have a place of their own. Me and teenagers have a love-hate relationship. I always say, send teenagers to the moon. They need their own planet, because they're such an
Yes, they
awkward age.
do
And I went
sometimes.
through yeah, I got 4 kids, so I've already been to three of them, or 3 stages of teenager years already, with the boy
Oh my
and the girl.
goodness.
And I'm on
Yeah.
my last one now with the 14, with the girl getting ready to be 14. So, because that's that awkward stage between 13 and 18, they develop so quickly. They
Right.
grow so
They're
fast.
finding
Everything
themselves. Yeah.
changes. And by the time they're 18 and 19, sometimes they don't even realize half the things that they did when they were 14 and 15. It's such a
Yeah.
big difference, because to be honest with you, it's like a baby. When the baby comes out, babies don't know what's around them. They're still babies. Well, teenagers are the same way. Their eyes ain't open yet. Your
Right.
eyes really don't get open until you're like 20.
Yeah.
Your eyes start to open at that
Mhm.
time. They really open when you're in like your mid 20s, close to 30. But
Right.
they're not really
That's
open.
when
And
you
that's
wake
why
up.
it's so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's why it's so easy to manipulate a child, to prey on a child, because their eyes aren't open yet, you
Right.
know?
Mhm.
And you gotta keep adults away from that, because it's not good for kids. You got to give kids their space. You got to give them a place. You got to let them have an imagination.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. So your organization then will be providing
It would just be providing the
like
funds. It
pay
would
for
just be
some
providing.
people,
Yeah, yeah.
for some
Now it
kids
would be.
take
Yeah,
classes and stuff.
I never wanted to get into the responsibility of transporting any
Oh
minor
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
anywhere. So the kid would still have to, the
Get
parent
their
would
own.
still have to make sure kids get to where they got to go. But at least, it would be a help financially for a lot of the kids to get where they got to go and take those activities. And it doesn't have to be dance. It doesn't have to be music. It could be robotics. It could be a computer class. It could be, something scientific. It could be academics. It could, they got extracurricular academical class, academic activities. It doesn't have to all, so yeah, they got photography. They got a lot of stuff for kids. In fact, I'm a high believer. I'm a firm believer that if you teach a child to do the same things adults do on their job, you want the kid gonna learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm. I don't know why we make kids not learn these things until they're like darn near 19. Because I feel like if you start teaching a kid at 12 and 10 years old, you
They're
could
gonna
teach a
pick it
kid to
up.
build it. You could teach a kid to build a Tesla. You could teach a kid to do a whole bunch of stuff.
It's true. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta stop. You gotta just stop treating them like they don't know nothing. Like they just little, like, oh, they're such a child. Like, stop treating them like that.
A lot of them are more smart than we are.
Very
Only because
more
they
artistic.
obtain the
Yeah.
information, our brains are older.
Yeah, we look at all these Marvel comics, right? And we get into all of the Spider-Mans and the Supermans and how they became their superhero at such a young age. This is what teenagers do. They're young and they're ready. They're young and they're ready. And I'm a firm believer that we as human race, we put, these boundary lines on kids, but no animal other than the humans do that. You got animals that pop out of their mama belly and start walking and running and chasing after stuff. And we as humans, we just baby our kids all the way up to their dang on there with a mustache or or wearing high heels on their feet. What is this about?
Right.
We got when is the line drawn? It for me is drawn right at the puberty age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to let them start right there, because if human nature is showing you that they're ready, then why are we not following what's common to our eyes and what we see?
Right.
It doesn't make it's not making sense to me. So if you bring kids into these activities and you bring them to all these great things, let them be. They're gonna be great. That's why you
Mm-hmm.
get so many great dancers and parents that are able to put their kids in these activities. You see these kids all on TV, these star searches and stuff. You like, wow, ice skating. Me and my daughter was looking at the Olympics the other day, and we saw the ice skater. These kids been ice skating since they was darn near 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
They are great now.
Right.
Why? Because they were exposed when they were young.
Yes.
Because their parents didn't say, "Oh, they can't do it. They just a baby."
Well, I will make sure that your information is in the show notes so that we can follow your journey to starting this amazing
Yeah.
organization
Well,
and
it's
your
coming soon.
business.
It's coming soon. It's not activated yet with the nonprofit. Right now I'm still building on the business entrepreneurship. But once that nonprofit makes its move, I'll be putting it out there.
Well, tell me, what is it that you want the world to know about Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson he was amazing as just a person. He tried to teach us all as humans, to get along. His whole message was about getting along. His whole life, that's what he knew as a kid. That's what he tried to teach everybody through his music. Like I said, adults are hard to train, you know? Adults are hard. And another thing, it should be a law that if you're an adult and you don't want to change, don't don't recruit your kid to be like you.
Yes.
There should be a law against that
Yes.
because kids don't come with that. Kids are taught that,
Right.
you know, and so I think that should be against the law to teach your kids to be opinionated like you. Because if parents didn't do that to their kids would be giving them such a hard time in their houses. You would have way more families so upset at their kids than a little bit.
Hmm.
Because you don't come out like that. You have to learn that stuff. So if you in the house with mom and dad, and you like, what, you can't be like that, mom. You can't be like that. You would have so much problems in it. So many people would have so many problems in their house with their own kids. So Michael tried to show us, how to just get along. And I think he did a pretty darn good job of that, leaving us with material that we can always listen to over and over and over again if we so choose, because it's always going to be up to you and you solely to make the choice to do what you want to do. He left us so much great material. He left us Man in the Mirror. He left us Heal the World.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved with We Are the World. It was so many different things that Michael did that showed us that we need to all just get together and get along and try to make a better place out of everything. And a lot of times he even said that, make a better place. And so he did a remarkable job. He did a remarkable job. And he did understand that a lot of people didn't grasp it. I think that Michael really focused on the ones he didn't reach more than he focused on the ones he did, because I think it hurted him that he really didn't reach the ones he didn't reach more than anything. And that's because he just had a pure heart. He just had a pure loving heart that he really aimed to reach everybody.
Yes.
And he didn't have that understanding that you just one man. There's always going to be an ultimate Michael Jackson power in the universe, in the galaxies far, far away. We got to leave that job up to that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we only reach who we can, on this earth. And I feel like if he would have had more of if he would have just understood, I'm gonna reach the ones I can, the ones I can't. Oh well, I did my job. I think that he would have had way more peace in
Right.
himself with that. You know what I mean? He would have
Yes.
had more peace. So, but I personally, he did good. He did good. He did so much good as well. He did so much good, and he left a great effect. He was one person that left millions of people in a good place and in a good space. And we thank God for that,
Mhm.
because he was given that job. He was given that job, and thank God that he was given that job.
Yeah.
God doesn't give anybody what they can't bear and what they can't handle. There's so many people that probably would not have been able to put their feet in his shoes and been able to handle the things that he was able to handle as a person. And
Yeah.
he did a great job doing the job that he was handed here on earth.
Yes. Again, amen to that. I mean, he was one of a kind
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And never again
Yeah. I mean,
will
this
we
this
have that.
guy, he ran around the world.
Yeah.
He ran
Yeah.
around the world.
Seriously,
You
like
know?
he's huge everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
And here's the greatest thing about him. He kept it clean.
Yes. Yes.
He kept it clean.
He did.
And that's amazing as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hard
amazing.
to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, that was a great message in itself. So thank you.
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you so much, Faith, for being on the podcast and talking with me. It's been a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. It's
And
a
thank
pleasure. Yeah. All right. Well,
you.
we'll be following you online, and thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much anytime.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for listening, and it's all for love. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. Every story, every reflection is a reminder that Michael's legacy is not just in his music. It's in the love that we choose to carry forward. Before we go, let's take one more breath together. Inhale and gently send love out into the world. If this episode touched you, I invite you to subscribe, share, or leave a review. It truly helps this message reach more hearts. And if you feel called to share your own Michael Jackson story, you'll find the link in the show notes to connect. Until next time, it's all for love.